This week in the conversation, I have the privilege to welcome author Kimberly Hebert from Montreal, Canada. We're going to be talking about her fantastic children book titled "In the Land of the Boxes." But before we get to the video, I just want to remind everyone that it's important to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you do, don't forget to click the notification bell so that way every time a video is posted, it'll go directly into your portable. So let's get started. Again, my name is Ardain Isma, and I'm here with a very important guest today. Her name is Kimberly Hebert.
Hebert, yes, Kim Hebert.
Kim Hebert. Okay. I'm sorry, because I know that this is a French also name. People from French friends I have, it's pronounced Hebert.
Hebert. That's how we pronounce it here too. But for English-speaking folks, it's easier to say Hebert.
Exactly.
But here in Quebec, it's Hebert, yes.
So to get started, Kim, I just have to say welcome to the conversation.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. Now, would you please tell the viewers of CSMS Magazine, who is Kimberly Hebert?
Well, first of all, I'm a mother of two incredible kids and a goofy Labrador retriever, which you might hear in the background. He's in the room. Now he's on the couch, but if you hear steps, that's him walking around the room.
Okay.
I'm also a wife to a wonderful husband.
Right.
I'm a writer. And right now I'm doing a course to become a health coach.
Okay.
Yes, in nutrition and wellness. That's also one of my big passions.
Okay.
And I love sports. I grew up with sports. I follow sports. I watch it. I play it. So I'm a big active person. From NFL to, of course, here hockey, which the Canadians are
very crazy about. I know.
Very, very crazy. So I'm a very active person. And I also have two university degrees, one in political science and one in marketing from Concordia.
Wow. So that means you wear so many hats.
Yes, I'm in a lot of different boxes.
That's interesting. I like the way you say that. So yeah, it's a wonderful intro into the land of the boxes. Very interesting children's book. It's a story of a child who's discovering that it's important to be himself.
Exactly.
And where he lives, there are many boxes, some tall, some beautiful, some short. But as he gets older, he find out that probably he might have to choose, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so could you please tell us how the story unfolds?
The story evolved. It was basically based on my son. My son is 9. When he was a young child, he was a daydreamer, a happy child, a curious child, a creative child.
Okay.
And he had his boxes, right? His box, he was in his own little world. And when he started school, that's when, people kind of try to push you into these other boxes, like society tries to, push people, try to classify people.
Right.
And he got judged because he's a daydreamer, so he wasn't necessarily always paying attention in class.
Right.
And that was a problem. And he started getting bullied in first grade. And, it evolved from that. Just the story evolved for kids, especially my kids, just to be themselves and just to, listen to their unique little voice and to know how awesome they are and how special they are, and not to let anybody's opinions affect who they are as a person. And I think that is so important, because with my son, I saw that his confidence started, dwindling. He was always a very confident child. And when society tries to classify you and put you in these boxes, and your confidence goes down, and I
Exactly.
and a lot of kids face that, and they face a whole array of different boxes. But this story evolved from that, and I wanted to share it with any kid, all kids. I think it's important that the message we give our kids and the way we act and the way we treat our kids, it affects them in the long run. So it always goes back to being yourself. At the end of the day, yourself. That's all you need to be, is yourself.
So Kimberly, how old is your son, if I may ask?
My son now is 9 years old.
Oh, it's 9. So which seems to indicate that the story is written for elementary level, right?
Elementary level kids, yes. Yes.
Okay. Once upon a time, I was a grade school teacher for many years in South Florida. Yes. But unfortunately, I was dealing with the crazy level one, the middle grade student.
Okay.
That was terrible. But, I got used to it, and I have my own kids and I have my own children. They're not children anymore, they're just grown-up people. So I understand what it means to raise a child.
Yes.
And sometimes we tend to be pretty fussy, especially when we are realizing somehow our expectation is not going to be met. Because I know I am from a very traditional kinds of conservative family. They expect the children to grow up and become doctors or maybe engineers, and these are the things like that. But not every child wants to be a doctor.
Exactly.
Not every child wants to be an engineer, and sometimes you really want to give your child the permission, at least the freedom, to be himself, to be herself.
Yes, and to understand that, everybody's journey is very different. And you what you're saying speaks to me, because we do have these expectations for our kids, and they are their own people at the end of the day. Exactly. So I mean, we guide them, yes, but they will continue their own journey on their own later on. So and it becomes very stressful, I find, for kids sometimes. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress, and the confidence also issues that arise from that. So I understand exactly what you're saying.
And Cam, it's such sometimes it could be pretty difficult for a parent to finally come to terms to what exactly that he or she has to, step back a bit and to let his child be a child.
Exactly.
So a work of fiction, but Kimberly, fiction reflects reality. That's precisely what you just did. Mm-hmm. So when you began to write the story, did you share that with your son?
At the beginning, no, but once it started evolving, yes. And he was very excited that I was writing a book. Okay. And secondly, that he was in the book. So he was very happy. Once he started to see the illustrations, he was like, oh, this is me, ooh, I'm in a book. But he was very supportive. I have a very supportive family. So he was very happy about that.
Okay. So if I'm guessing, including the husband too.
Yes, the husband's been very supportive. Yes. My parents, my sister, aunts, uncles, everybody's been very supportive. And even my son, he even brought this book to school and he read it in front of the class.
He did? Wow.
It's like, my mom wrote a book, and they were like, she wrote a book. And it's like, yeah. And then he goes, can I bring this book to school? And I'm like, sure, bring it. and he read it in front of the class. So he was
That
happy to
makes
share
you
the
feel
story.
such a proud mom.
Yes, exactly. I was very proud of him, very proud.
Now, Kimberly, The Land of Boxes is your first novel?
It is. It's the first book I've ever written. Yeah, it's my first book.
Okay. Now, I know when we are novelists, and we always thrive toward perfection, right? The protagonist of this story is the boy.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me ask you something, because me as a writer,
Yes.
choosing characters for a story sometimes can be problematic, especially me, a person who writes fiction work pertaining to social justice. And when you have a character as a boy like this, and you wake up every morning and you try to jot down, the story of the day, and you feel like, just like Amina told me the other day, whom I spoke to, one of the characters comes up one day and says, "Here I am," And I feel sometimes my characters are talking to me. Is that the way you feel also when you write your stories?
Basically, yes. I take it from experience, things that I've seen, things that I witnessed, things that that I've lived. Yeah, definitely. I totally understand that. Yeah, sometimes the characters, they come to life and they have a story to tell. And this is basically the story of my son in this one. But yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Okay, let me ask you something, because I know not every chapter is easy to write. So what happened when you went into a difficult chapter? What do you do to overcome the chapter?
To overcome a chapter, you mean writer's block or?
Right, exactly.
Well, I just jot down ideas and basically something will stick eventually. So it's just basically getting all my thoughts out on paper, and it's just working with the ideas, and something somehow will work in the end. That's the way I see it. But you just have to keep, working the idea, and something will stick.
Okay. Now, so what happened when the story was over? So you realize that you've just conceived a manuscript. So
Yes.
what happened?
Well, my husband read it and he said, "This is good," and I'm like, yeah, I want to share this. So I decided to go, I contacted some self-publishers.
Okay.
And I went down the self-publishing route.
Right.
And I did not know what to expect,
Right.
but it has been a very enriching experience up to now.
Okay.
But yeah, once he said, it's good, and then I felt confident to send it in to self-publishing company.
Okay, now I know just because you say self-publishing, marketing and the publishing world can be pretty, could be pretty difficult, especially when it comes to marketing books. Mm-hmm. So after the book was completed, and you went to where for marketing purposes, because you self-published the book?
Mm-hmm. I had a marketing specialist work with me, and she suggested I go on to Twitter.
Okay.
And so I decided to build a profile, go on Twitter, and honestly, it has been a very good experience. And I also got my book into 3 Indigo bookstores, one in Montreal, one in Laval, one on the South Shore. And I've been trying to promote my book. I mean, exactly. I've been talking about it. I have my website up. But honestly, Twitter's been the big one for me.
Our community on Twitter is the best out there.
It's awesome. I didn't know what to expect. And I was like, oh, Twitter, I'm not sure about Twitter. And there's so many awesome people on Twitter,
Yes.
especially the writing community.
Yeah.
Fabulous authors, writers, kind people, supportive people. I love it.
So at some point in the conversation where we start talking about literature and we switch to something very, very cozy, because I know you are a mother.
Yes.
And you have children besides being a writer, a novelist. Let me ask you a question now. If you were to choose between becoming a full-time writer and if like a short, part-time, let's say dividing your time between writing fiction and also memoir, which one would you choose?
Okay, so if I were to choose between
fiction
writing
fiction and
okay.
memoir.
Oh, that's a good question. I would have to say maybe a memoir.
Memoir?
Maybe a memoir, yes. Yeah, yeah.
So as I can see you, Kimberly, becoming a great memoirist. Why I'm saying that? Because you're the third mom in the conversation. And both of them, the first two told me they will sit down very soon to start writing their memoirs. Yeah, yeah, that's why I asked you that question. Now, I know, Kimberly, we human, they say you cannot be an impeccable writer such as you without being an avid reader. So could you please tell me or tell the viewers who you would consider as your best writer? It doesn't have to be a Canadian.
There's so many great authors. Presently I read a lot of social issue books and health books. I read Mitch Albom, which I really enjoyed reading. Glennon Doyle, which I really love reading too. There's so many of them. It's really hard to choose. And right now with the writing community on Twitter, I've been discovering other books which I would have never seen before. And I'm actually reading a book from a member of the writing community, one of my friends there, and it's a really amazing book.
That's great. Maybe you might want to pass it on to me too, because one of the things that we're doing in the community is to promote each other's work.
Yes.
And then I intend to do that, not just by inviting all of our friends into the conversation, but also exposing the works out there so everybody could see it. At least those who watch the show could see it too.
And I forgot to mention to him, Naomi Wolf. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she writes fantastic books on women's issues.
Really?
Which is another book that another author, which she writes really, really well. So. Okay.
So, in a sense, can I safely say that you're a feminist? Because I know many female writers are feminist.
Yes. Well, of course, women's issues is a big thing for me. So, yes, I'm a bit of a feminist. Yes.
Okay. I like the way you and I can talk forever because you know what? It looks like we find connection. So now, because as a mom, I know you love, you have to cook for husband and children. What is your favorite cuisine?
I love to eat. So
I do, but me too.
Yes, I love to eat. I like to try new foods. I cook a lot of Italian food, Italian cuisine. Okay. Greek cuisine, Thai cuisine, French cuisine. Okay. I love to eat. I love sushi. I love everything. Okay. So I'm one to try a lot of things. And if you ask my kids what's their favorite thing that I cook for them, it would probably be spaghetti bolognese. Yeah, they will ask me for that all the time. Please, spaghetti bolognese. So yeah, I love to cook and I love to try a lot of different types of foods.
So my other question, music. What is your favorite music?
I listen to a lot of alternative music. I love alternative music, but I also listen to 90s music, pop music, oldies. I love a lot
What
of
do you mean by alternative music?
Alternative music, bands like Metric, like
Okay.
21 Pilots,
Okay.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right. Okay.
This is the type of music I love, but I also love 90s, oldies.
Okay.
And it's interesting because on Friday nights we have this dinner with our kids where we turn off all the technology.
Okay.
I'll have a candlelight dinner with them and I'll play jazz music in the background. So it's like we're at our little restaurant.
So that's interesting. Yes. Now, to end this conversation, if there's a lesson that you would want to give a mother, okay, who would want to embark upon the writing journey like you, so what lesson would you give to mother?
Just do it. Honestly, we are our worst critics most of the time. We can do virtually anything we put our minds to. And if you have a message to send out to the world, do it. Do it. Somebody will benefit from it, and it might change somebody's life. It might change somebody's life. So that's what I would tell a mother who wants to embark on this. Just do it. Just do what you have to do.
And you know what? Did you watch a conversation I had with one of our authors, Sarah Bushway? Did you? She said the same thing you just said. You said, we as writers, we are our worst critics. But thanks for our spouses, we always get a spouse to get at it,
They encourage us, honestly, because we'll tell ourselves, well, no, maybe it's not that good. Maybe, it doesn't make any sense. And they will come to you and they will say, it's good. You're good. And then you have to tell yourself every single day, yes, you can do this. You go, girl. You go, girl. You do what you have to do.
So with that, I'm going to say, Kimberly, it's been such a pleasure to have you in the conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.